Superman Returns comes a full 19 years after the last atrocity from this series, with a completely new cast. However, this is no reboot, as you can tell from the very beginning when the familiar title crawl and theme music by John Williams swells up, right to the end. Bryan Singer directed this one after passing up a third X-Men movie and decided to bring the series back to its roots, basing it off the first two films, or rather the first film and the director's cut of the second one. Superman Returns takes place 5 years after the events of Superman 2, but does not acknowledge Supergirl, Superman 3, or Superman 4 The Quest for Peace, pretty much making them apocryphal. The new cast includes Brandon Routh as Superman, Kate Bosworth as Lois Lane, and Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. Superman Returns also refers not just to the series, but to the character. Apparently at some point after Superman 2, Superman traveled to the wreckage of his home planet Krypton to see if he could learn anything. He returns 5 years later and finds that things have changed. Lex Luthor got away with his crimes and runs free and is now rich after marrying a very old lady and convincing her to put him in her will just before she dies. To make matters worse, Lois Lane has seemingly also moved on. She's engaged to Perry White's son, and the two even have a son together, though the kid's true parentage is revealed later on in the film. We even get a CGI Marlon Brando using footage of the late actor so he can come back as Jor-El. Lex Luthor is back at it again with another real estate scam, this time wanting to create his own landmass using the crystals he foraged from Superman's fortress. He makes the island out of kryptonite to give him a certain advantage over his adversary. Superman Returns wound up being a rather polarizing film, with almost everyone agreeing that it is a lot better than the last few Superman films, but with many people expressing disappointment. A lot of people figured in the year 2006 we didn't need yet another real estate plot with Lex Luthor, making his fourth appearance in the series of 5 movies. Even if he's played by Kevin Spacey, and with no supervillain to match Superman on a physical level, we're left once again to him lifting things and saving people from disasters. Of course, fight scenes haven't always worked out for the Man of Steel. Superman 2 and 4 didn't exactly do it well. But with new technology, I would have liked to have seen him throw down with someone who could give him a run for his money. My issue with the film, however, is not with the lack of excitement, as I rather like Superman Returns. It came off dull to some, but what we have here is really a character study. While Superman was away, Lois won a Pulitzer Prize for an op-ed about why the world doesn't need Superman. But by the end of the film, she has to rethink why the world really does need him. Superman isn't just a superhero, but an icon that represents the very best in us, something to aspire to. Showing him as a bit more flawed in this film was a smart move, but also showing the incredible lengths that he's willing to go to save and protect his adopted planet. What we got with this film is a very character-driven, very smart movie that just isn't all that entertaining. What really gets me is this could have easily have been fixed with a little editing. Superman Returns is just a smidgen too long. If about 20 minutes had been cut out of the film, the weighty plot might not have been so fatiguing, and it would have met its goals better at being a thought-provoking film. Unfortunately, audiences agreed, as, even though the film was a success, it did not meet the box office goals set for it, and this led to a planned sequel being put on the back burner and eventually cancelled in favor of a reboot. Superman Returns is worth a watch for its excellent dialogue and smart look at the character, plus its slavish devotion to the 1970s films caps out the series on a much higher note than the incredibly cheesy Superman 4. It has its flaws, but it is not by any means a bad film. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.